Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm Jackie Vargas. Welcome to the building coordinator meeting. This is the one for the quarter, and it's, of course, today, July 27th, a Friday. Looks like we have a little bit of a light group, but that's okay. I know a lot of people are on vacation right now, just based on the away messages that we keep getting every time we send emails. So for those people who are on vacation, hopefully they're having a great time. Thank you all for coming this morning. So we'll go ahead and get started without any further ado. If everybody's had something to grab some coffee or juice or something, and of course, as always, when you're here and you want to get up and replenish your coffee or whatever, please feel free to do so. I have my wonderful team up there, Jennifer Ray, who's standing up. She's my, I don't know, left side, right side brain or alter ego or something. And then we have Jalen and Michelle, and I guess those are our two students that we have this morning. We actually have our other two students very busy. One is at New Student Orientation, representing facilities, and the other one is actually covering our Key Access Services office this morning. So that's so that Roland and his team could be here this morning. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. First up, we have, hold on one second. We have emergency preparedness posters, so I would like to invite Kelly and Ginger to come up and share their information, or Kelly or whomever.
Thank you. How do I get to that website? All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Cougar Red Friday. My name's Kelly Boyson, and I'm the Director of Emergency Management. I'm here to share a new initiative that we have going on coming out of our office and a lot of partnerships with some other departments who I'll mention in a minute. And also to basically solicit your assistance with the distribution. So we have a new initiative, which is these emergency preparedness posters. So hopefully there's one of these samples at each of your tables. So I'd like to tell you guys just a little bit about the poster itself, kind of some context of why we developed it, and then kind of where we're going next with this. So basically, we worked with the university's police department, the fire marshal's office on campus, as well as with university marketing in order to have this poster meet the university's brand standards. But the focus of the poster includes how to report an emergency. Of course, you'll see the police department emergency phone numbers at the very top in bold. And then it also covers things about evacuation, shelter in place, active shooter, and then also some information on the university's emergency notification system known as UH Alert. One of the other neat things I want to point out is actually in the UH Alert section, they had a QR code added here. So, for example, on your Apple device, if you just hover over that with your phone's camera, it will pull up the UH Alert website. So in the event of an emergency, somebody goes up to this poster, they can pull that up and see what the latest alert message is from the University of Houston. So that's kind of an overview of the poster, a little bit of context of why this was developed. So, you know, with the different terrible tragedies that have happened across the country with some of these active shooter situations, and particularly after the Parkland shooting last February, there was quite a bit of feedback received actually to the university leadership about concerns about active shooter preparedness. And in particular, there was quite a bit of feedback received from our faculty on campus saying they had concerns about not knowing what to do or how to respond in an active shooter event and or in other emergencies. So there are a lot of different new initiatives and new creative ways that we're working on getting emergency preparedness information to the faculty and then also specifically into the classrooms on campus. So this is really just one of those initiatives. It's a very visible way, a very tangible way for our students and our faculty to see this. And so what I'm hoping to get help from each of you is to help share this with your individual buildings and in getting these posted. So our very first priority is getting these posted into classroom and labs on campus. We've worked with UH Printing to have these printed for you. So we've got lots of copies that we're available to provide to you guys in order to post those. Now, if you have a building that you don't have classrooms or and labs, we still welcome and encourage you to post these in any spaces you like. Additional ideas might be some common spaces, conference rooms, maybe even office suites, things of that nature. So I don't want people to feel like if you don't have, classrooms in your building, that this isn't for you. This is something that we want to encourage anybody to post where they like. And if we run out of the ones we've printed, we will print more. So please, this is something that we want to have a very wide distribution on. So let me tell you guys a little bit of the next steps and how this is going to work. So we brought, the samples with us today. But we have an electronic form that we'll be distributing to Jackie and Jennifer. So you guys will see that email come out from them. We just want you to take a minute and a half to fill out that form. It will just ask for your contact information, how many of each poster that you would like. We actually have 2 different sizes, so I'll talk about that. Thank you, yes. Jennifer is helping model this for me. So the tabloid size, the larger size, is what you guys have in front of you. We know that for some folks that size might not fit as well in some of their spaces, so we do have a standard letter size, the 8.5 by 11, as well available for you. So when you get that electronic form, it's going to ask you how many you want of each size, and then get some information about how we might best deliver these to you. So that's basically what the form's going to include. We do have these posted on our website here, so that's what I have showing behind me. Our website is uh.edu/OEM for Office of Emergency Management. So anybody can actually go there and print these, but we wanted to get something done really nice by UH Printing so that it looks, much more official. So did I miss anything, Ginger? Yep. Right. So the overall goal is to have these, posted before the start of the fall semester. So, are there any questions about that? Yes. No, we printed quite a few, and like I said, we will print more, and we do want a wide distribution. So, if you ask me for 50,000, I can't help with that, but I think we should probably be able to accommodate your request. Anybody else?
I have a question. Do you have any preference? You said in classrooms, or is there a preference where you like them posted in classrooms, sort of a standard location?
Yeah, so kind of what we've thought about is what is ideal is if it's closer to the front of the room. By the door might be an ideal location, although I know some spaces are limited, in whether they could fit something this size by the door frame. So ideally somewhere in the front of the room. If you have a lot of labs, sometimes the front of the room is not, the best option for some of our research labs. So that I kind of leave open to you to where that might best fit your needs. But in general, the front of the room. Good question. Great. Anything else? No? Well, I just want to say that I really, really appreciate all of you in kind of being our liaisons out to your individual buildings to help get this emergency preparedness information out there. Like I said, there's a lot of kind of new things in the works. This is really just one of the new ways that we're trying to blanket this information across campus, and I sincerely appreciate you all's role in helping us share that information. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next up we have a core project update by Jennifer McPhail, who's with Facilities Planning Construction. She's a senior facilities planner, and I think this might be the first time, I just realized I wasn't speaking into the mic. This may be the first time that Jennifer has joined us both at a meeting and to present, and so we're looking forward to having your update, and if you've been here before, forgive me. So, I just
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I think I actually have presented this before, but it was just a preliminary update when we were just starting the project. So some of this is actually a review of what I presented the first time. So the core projects, it's the buildings that we feel have the biggest impact on undergraduate students. A majority of the freshmen coming into the university use these buildings for their undergraduate classes. Most of them have not been renovated, and some of them are over 70 years old, and they really haven't undergone any major renovations. So they are definitely due for an upgrade. And we feel that if we go in and update the infrastructure, the HVAC, the Wi-Fi, and everything in the classrooms, it will really make these buildings much better for the undergraduate students to use, and also for the faculty and staff that have departments in these buildings. So our total budget for this project is $100 million, and it sounds like a lot, but when you look at what all of these buildings need, and it's divided among 6 different buildings, it's a pretty tight budget to work with. These are the buildings that we are going to renovate: Agnes Arnold, Roy Cullen, Old Science, McElhaney, Science and Research 1, and CERC. And right now, Old Science is under renovation, so we are currently renovating this building. It will be our swing space that we use during the renovations. So once Old Science is complete, it's being built out as a very general use building with office space and classrooms. We can then go into start renovations on the other buildings. So we will temporarily move occupants into Old Science while their space is being renovated. And once it's renovated, we'll move them back into their space. And these are the items that are inclusive in the upgrade. So as I mentioned before, major building systems, HVAC, electrical. A lot of these buildings are not ADA compliant, so we need to go in and make sure that they are accessible. We'll be upgrading public restrooms, all of the classrooms, making the buildings energy efficient to meet today's codes. And as much as we can, we will repurpose and reconfigure space for departments, but as I mentioned, the budget's very tight, so we're going to have to study this with each building as we get to that renovation. I have worked very closely recently with a lot of the people on this list, the deans, and then different department representatives. And we've been doing preliminary programming with each group to figure out what space they have, where they're located, what their space needs are in the future, and how we can maybe assist with those during these renovations. So for these programming meetings, we had Broadus Planning, they're a consultant that we had on board, and I was working with Broadus and each department to get all of the information. And Broadus has helped us develop a schedule of how we will approach the renovations. We currently have an RFQ out for the architectural design services and the construction manager at risk, and we are hoping that by early fall we will have those contracts in place so we can begin the design process for the first building to be renovated. This process overall will take approximately 6 years to do all of these renovations, and our goal is to be complete by the end of 2024. So this is our preliminary schedule for the renovations. Of course, Old Science right now is under construction, and then right now we have Roy Cullen as the next building that will be renovated. And that building is small enough to where we can move all of the occupants into Old Science and renovate the entire building at once. Some of the next buildings are all larger to where it will have to be done in multiple phases. So McElhaney will be in 2 phases, Agnes Arnold will be in 3. And then Science and Research will be an ongoing renovation that will be going concurrently with the other renovations. The labs are very sensitive. It's a very intricate project, so it's going to take smaller phases to accomplish the whole renovation. And I do have detailed plans that show exactly where these phases are located within the building. Right now it is preliminary. It may change when we get the architecture firm on board, but I can distribute those now if anybody would like to see them. And that's all I have. So are there any questions? Nope. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks.
Next, we'd like to call on Barry Simmons to give us a Cougar substation update and any outages related thereto. So come on up, Barry. Barry is our interim principal project manager in facilities planning construction. So, take it away.
Did you add the photo I sent?
Nope.
Nope.
Well, guys, y'all lucky. I had a photo of what the completed Cougar substation looked like, but sorry. So, where we are on the Cougar substation project, the majority of the work is complete. Right now, we're doing a little bit of work on programming what I call the devices, all the relays, automatic transfer switches, et cetera, so that eventually, the electrical shop will have a dashboard that they can pull up on their computer and see what is happening at each one of the devices as part of the Cougar substation. We're still working on that. The biggest piece of the project left involves Health 1 and Health 2. We still need to have an outage for Health 1 and Health 2, and we're in the early planning stages for that. It is anticipated that we'll be doing those outages in September and October, and those dates are dependent upon us getting a contract in place with CenterPoint Energy. They have a role to play in the project because we're basically coming off their power grid and going on to U of H's power grid, the Cougar substation. The outages involved. We'll have an outage, like I said, at Health 1. That's going to be a pretty simple outage. Y'all have seen the outages going around where we have a momentary loss of power, which is 1 to 2 seconds, 2 to 3 minutes. It depends on the building and all the relay switching behind the scenes. That building's going to be fairly simple. Unfortunately, at Health 2, for about 8 to 10 hours, that building is going to be on emergency power by itself. That has a big impact to what goes on in the operations of those buildings. I don't know if y'all are aware, but we have animal care, we have surgeries, both for the animals and some outpatients that go to optometry school, et cetera, et cetera. It's also the future home for our College of Medicine. So that building's going to be a little bit more difficult, and you'll soon see a outage being circulated trying to plan what's the best dates for those guys. But that's all I have on the Cougar substation. We're almost done. No more momentary losses of powers for you guys. So thank y'all very much for your patience in the past.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes,
Where
ma'am.
is the substation located?
Good question. It's located over at ERP. It is off to the side right next to the CenterPoint Energy substation, and we have, obviously we have power lines going from their overhead lines into our capacitors, transformers, et cetera, et cetera. It's unfortunately, the photo I sent had a panoramic view of the Cougar substation. It's kind of impressive. If y'all have ever driven down the freeway and seen a bunch of electrical equipment off to the side. That's what a substation looks like. I do have another project I can discuss with you guys. I'm also replacing the emergency generator at the P.T. Hoffman. If any of you guys have driven by the building or walked by P.T. Hoffman lately, you'll notice that up on the loading dock, there is an emergency generator. Well, that was the original one to the building. We've moved that into a temporary location, and we're putting a new emergency generator in. So you're wondering, why is that important to me? Well, we're going to be closing the sidewalk probably in mid-August before classes start to bring a crane in to put a new emergency generator in place. And then once we get that generator in place, we'll have a momentary loss of power to P.G. Hoffman while we hook that up. But once we get that done, for the time being, we won't bother you guys. So that's all I got. Any questions?
Do you want to tell briefly about your water line infrastructure project?
I do have a project.
If you'd rather not, but I find it interesting.
It's a very interesting project. For the longest time, the campus has had a serious need for additional water, including water pressure. That means the amount of water to the building and how quickly it can be delivered. Well, we are upsizing the domestic water line across campus. Hopefully that will improve our capacity to deliver water to each of the buildings. One of the interesting parts of the project is that we recently conducted a tree survey. I know that really excites you guys. But for our purposes and for the campus's purposes, it's pretty important. For the campus's purposes, I don't know if y'all are aware that we do something called STARS reporting. And the STARS reporting looks at the campus in a number of different ways. And it is how we are ranked, or it helps us compare ourselves to other campuses with respect to green space, sustainability, power consumption, aesthetics, comforts, et cetera, et cetera. One of the pieces of the STARS is having a tree survey. What trees you have on campus and where the diversity of your tree population, for some reason, is very interesting. We have that here. But for the domestic water line purpose, we're using it as a way to identify obstacles or routing for the domestic water line. We have a lot of very nice old trees on campus. Some have been donated, some have been dedicated. And so those are special trees for the campus that we don't want to, because of our activities, accidentally kill the tree. So we are actually looking at where the trees are, where its root ball is, the canopy, the tree size, health, a number of other factors. And that will help us route the domestic water line around campus. Another part of the domestic water line project is we're doing a computer model of where what buildings get supplied from what water source. We have buildings that are on the city of Houston water line. We have buildings that are on the UH domestic water line system. So this computer model will help our utility department understand what they have and where. It will also help us control our water bills for the campus. So this domestic water line project is a nice upgrade for the campus infrastructure. And hopefully we will start construction sometime in 2021, summer 2021, what we are projecting.
Great.
Any other projects?
No?
Questions? Yes, sir. It is not The domestic water line is a big loop around the interior of the campus. So we'll look at replacing that loop, upsizing and upgrading any laterals that go off that to the buildings, as well as part of the project will be looking at putting water meters at the building. Excuse me. So it's a very comprehensive project that will help the university meter its water, again, have a better handle on water consumption at a building level. So, other questions? Okay, for those of you who fall asleep, there will be a question and answer session. Thank you guys very much.
My apologies for asking you follow-up questions when obviously you have a tickle in your throat, but thank you for powering through that. So next we've got, let's see, what's next up? We've got Jerry Mizell. He's going to come talk about the Fertitta Center, and I'm sure y'all been watching the construction. You know that you can actually see a webcam, quite a few webcams of the live construction. So if you're up at night and you want to see what's going on, you can check that out. But at any rate, come on up, Jerry, please.
Good morning. All of you, like I said, you've seen the construction work going over there. For those of you who don't know, the Fertitta Center, or Huffines Pavilion, was built back in the mid-1960s. Old building, it was really needing upgrade. Part of that upgrade is the electrical system. Both the Huffines Pavilion, Melcher, and Garrison were all hooked through the Fertitta Center building. So what we're doing now, we're having to take out the old transformers, put in new transformers, putting in new switchgear. We're separating the feeds that go into that building, where now the new Fertitta Center will be on its own switchgear, and Melcher Garrison will be on a separate, so they will be separated at the transformer. To do that, we have to, of course, take out the old transformers, take out the old switchgear, and replace it with all new equipment. That's been ongoing for several months now, in pieces and increments that can be done. You've already gone through one outage that affected all the buildings that are on Circuit 13 and 14 from the central plant. Those will have to be interrupted one more time on August the 12th. That outage request has gone out for everybody to review. It will, again, it will cut the power to all the buildings that are on 13 and 14. That outage for those buildings, I want to make sure I get the times here for you, if you'll understand, that will be from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the 12th. And during that time period, each of those buildings affected will be on their own generator power during that time period. Once that outage is over at 10 for those buildings, you'll go back onto one of the circuits from the central fire station, and you'll have no more interruptions after that. There'll be other power disruptions for Melcher Garrison, and we've been working very closely with Jessica to make sure that we keep her occupants happy on that. We've had some dips in the past. But that's the sequence. That's what's happening with Fertitta. We'll have that building finished hopefully by the 1st of December. There's already scheduled a basketball game in there for the 2nd, so the 9th. But anyway, we'll be there. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Jerry, the 12th is a Sunday, I believe, correct? Is August 12th? Okay, awesome. Okay, so, and since we're kind of moving out of the outage part of our program this morning, I was going to share with you that Jennifer is now going to be attending a weekly meeting. It's held in Central Plant, and it's a meeting that kind of gets everybody around the table that has an impact and has projects coming that will impact campus in the form of outages. And so she has graciously accepted attending that meeting, and what the goal being that if she hears something that's mentioned that she knows is going to impact one of your buildings, it may be something that's not coming for several weeks or several months. It just gives her some greater foreknowledge of what might be coming down the pike so that she can let y'all know. So that's going to be a really positive thing. We've already had some good fruit from that. Okay, so I'm going to talk briefly about project evaluation forms. Probably about a year ago, I guess, we started a very comprehensive departmental assessment/evaluation process, which included all aspects of facilities. We have a very robust project evaluation process that we've been rolling out over the last month or two that assesses projects that FPC manages. And so if you happen to be one of the identified customers on a project that has to do with a construction project, please know that you will be sent several evaluation forms. There's one that would come when the project moves from the planning phase. So you get one at the end of planning. When it's through with design and construction, you would get another evaluation. And then there's one that's done basically a year later at the end of the warranty closeout period. I know surveys, sometimes you're like, oh, another survey, but it does really help us know, it's the old saying, what are we doing well, what are we not doing well? And this is something kind of new for facilities planning and construction, and so we're excited about that. So if you do see any of these surveys coming, if you have time, we would love for you to respond. You've probably, some of you may have seen the work order survey. So when your work order that you've submitted is completed, there is a link in a final email that says your work order is now completed. If you'll follow that link, we would love for you to respond to the survey. We are looking at making it perhaps a bit briefer. It's not terribly long now, but I know how busy everybody is, and so we're looking at that. It also has, all these surveys have the ability to add your comments, and sometimes I've found in working with evaluation, sometimes the qualitative information, the comments, is as powerful as the more quantitative. We look at both. But sometimes people use that opportunity. If there was a technician that came to their building and did a really great job, it gives them the opportunity to report that. The opposite of that is true as well. And we do look at those. I actually have several people in call center, in our Fix-It call center, whose role now is to go in, look at the comments, look at the marks, and then respond. So if somebody has indicated, yes, I'd like to talk with somebody in facilities about that, we actually have 2 people who are dedicated to doing that in addition to their other duties. Again, the more we hear from you, the better, both good and bad. That's always very helpful, especially with our work order system. There is I wanted to mention, since Jennifer McPhail was up here talking about all these projects, so FPC has a user needs survey that they do, and I'm getting ready to just kind of be more familiar with it. It'll probably be coming out from my office or in conjunction with my office, which is customer service. They get a lot of great information from there, and my guess would be that a lot of that information has gone into the core project. It goes into future projects, and we actually had Jean LaMontagne, who retired last year. She came to one of the building coordinator meetings and rolled out the actual questionnaire that came out. And so that is a continuing process. We will continue to do that. And then lastly, so Jennifer and I are part of an A&F, the Division of Administration and Finance. We're part of their assessment team, and they like us to do planned on having several surveys each year. And so we just finished one that went just to a student population. really asking about what their impressions are of some of the buildings on campus, the landscaping, so on and so forth. And then for Jennifer and I, especially importantly, what was their knowledge of Fix-It? Do they know how to self-report? Because of course we encourage our students, and we really touch on this heavily in the during the new student orientations. Jennifer does several training sessions with the RAs. We want people to consider, especially residential students, this is their home for 4 or 5 years. But commuter or residential faculty, staff, we really want people to self-report or call Fix-It and let us know when an irrigation head has popped off, or if there's a pest control problem in a building, or we get a lot of hot and cold calls. So like I said, we really have learned a lot from that survey to know how can we better educate our students and our community, the campus community, about using Fix-It. Y'all probably hopefully you don't get tired of it, but I know most emails you get that come from our office usually have something about, please report any issues to Fix-It. I just sent one a little while ago about one building who had a chilled water pump out, and at the end of it I was like, if you have any questions, please let Fix-It know. They are the source of where our technicians constantly stay in touch with them by radio, by phone. They stop in. Actually, call center has recently just been relocated to Central Plant. They're in a very nice large room. I've been told that it is where they are in Central Plant, they are getting better radio reception. And our tech, and Craig is nodding his head yes, that was a really huge issue. Radio technicians would call in with radios and it would be garbled, and from my recollection, they had done everything they could to boost the signal in the bay over at General Services Building, but it just was not working. So there's a lot of great things that came from it. Central Plant was renovated, I don't know, I guess in the last 4 or 5 years. They're in a great location. And so we're excited about that. They're more central to campus too, which means they're more central to y'all as customers. And so the last one I want to talk about briefly is, so when I mentioned that we do A&F surveys, we did the one for Fix-It. We're going to be doing probably, I think we said maybe in the fall or spring, we will be rolling out one to you, the building coordinators. Y'all have been with us now for quite a while. We tell you all the time how valuable you are, and you are, but we want to get some good feedback from you. So we may even, vet it through some of y'all and say, like, are we getting at the right questions? What would you like us to ask and poll the students, or the building coordinators on? So be watching for that. Does anybody have any questions about just the project evaluation forms and forms in general? Okay, so it looks like we're up for a door prize. One of my favorite parts of I never win one, but I love giving them away. Okay, 032307. 307. Okay, again, I'm going to try to keep this brief, but there were a couple things that we wanted to share about key access services, lost key update. So y'all have been working with us for quite some time, and most of you have probably interacted with Roland Bourquet numerous times, whether it's during the recent key audit, which thank you very much, those of you who helped speed that along, we appreciate it. But I wanted to let you know that Roland is going to be retiring. He's a youngster, he's retiring early, and it's effective August 7th. So I just wanted to let y'all know so that you can bid him farewell at some point, but he will be transitioning all of the responsibility for a while of key access services to our voice of facilities, Miss Erica Vasquez. You may have seen there was an article that we did. She recently was asked, well, we needed to do a new voice recording. for our Fix-It line, because we haven't been plant operations in I don't know how many years, and it was quite old. And so it kind of got punted around who wanted to do it, And it's my understanding that Erica, so we work with telecommunications to get this, the voicemail recording changed and updated. They reached out to you, correct? So she's quite a celebrity. She has a great personality and a smile, and I'm a big believer that you can feel the smile in your voice when you call. You may not see the person, but you can hear them smiling or feel them smiling. And so we're looking forward to continuing to work with Erica. We will be posting Roland's position as a supervisor, so we'll be posting it. I don't want to say if anybody's interested because nobody wants to lose their good folks like y'all. So, but that kind of leads nicely into the next piece. You would have received an email late yesterday. So it would have looked like this. And it's basically, so Penny Brungart, who is a working retiree, was stationed in, she's actually still, I guess you could say, officed in Key Access Services. But as the email indicated, Lock Shop has experienced some recent staff changes. So Key Access Services falls under my purview, and it's a separate office. Our Lock Shop actually falls under Liliana Simmons, who's the Director of Central Facility Services. And so Penny, who used to be the Lock Shop manager, she's now serving in a part-time interim Lock Shop manager position, which was quite a great thing that she was willing to do that, and that Roland and Erica were willing to like give her up for a while. And so we've kind of worked out a process now. During this time, the Lock Shop crew and digital access control team, which is under Ron Harris, will be collaborating with Lock Shop to ensure as smooth an operation as possible. The main thing we want you to walk away with today, though, is that work orders will continue to be utilized to request Lock Shop services. And of course, please forward those to Fix-It. So this is more the behind-the-scenes stuff. We're working to make everything seamless. And I know that, I'll put in a plug, Liliana, I think, has some positions that are going to be posted or available in Lock Shop, too. So, but I guess that's all excuse me. One other thing, so the lost key update. I just want to tell you briefly that one of the things that Roland really found, I think they sort of bubbled up to the surface during the most recent key audit. You know, we do the annual key audit, and he began to notice that there were quite a few lost keys. And again, because of the audit, that information came forward. So the reason I'm telling you this is when our leader, David Oliver, our AVC AVP, suggested how can we need to make sure that this lost key issue becomes resolved. And so a letter was developed, a memorandum. Some of you may have been copied on it already. It's a lost key letter. It will come from our office, and it's addressed to the dean of whatever college or unit, the department head, and then also to the building coordinator, so that would be you guys, and I think it's just the primary building coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, and then the certifying signature. So we just wanted to mention it because and when I've noticed it, because I get copied on them, I've tried to shoot y'all an email. I don't want anybody thinking that we're asking you to resolve this necessarily, but it was my contention that y'all are very engaged in your buildings and your facilities. And so I was like, if there's lost keys, whenever there's a lost key, I wanted to say, could we let the building coordinators know? One, if nothing else, you might happen to find a lost key. But it just helps you know, because some of these require a rekeying. And so, again, because these are your facilities, we just want to make sure that you're aware of kind of what the right and left hands are doing. So that's why you're receiving those. But we appreciate you accepting some of those communications like that, because I know you get plenty already. But it's just our way of kind of helping keep y'all in the larger loop. Does anybody have, pardon me, so I could have pointed to this. So this is Erica. This is what she looks like. Yes, Jessica. Oh, I'm ending this piece. so so to request, Roland, do you want to address that? Just address key, to get keys, you use the key request form. But when you're having lock shop issues, things that are handled by lock shop, you want to report it to Fix It. I may not have said that. I apologize. What I'm trying to say is there's no need to just report everything through Fix It, except the key requests are, of course, a separate key request. So this is more if you're having mechanical, if you're having rekeying done. Yeah. Thank you. We're just letting y'all kind of know the behind the scenes process. I know some of you have worked with Penny or may know some of these folks. And so just so you, again, as your key building contacts, you know what has transpired and it's going to be taken care of and remedied. So, all righty. So. And hopefully I haven't muddied things. That was not my intention. If you have any questions, just let me know, or you can contact Erica. I put her information back up here. At any time, we're always happy to help answer questions, so on and so forth. Okay, so now we're going to transition to the bicycle policy and pickups, and we'll have Craig Whitfield come and talk to us about that.
Okay, thank you. Hello. I'm here to talk about the exciting world of bicycles. We have an official MAP policy on bicycles now, came out recently. The purpose of this policy was to try to get as many bicycles registered, pick up the abandoned ones, and encourage people, or actually force people, to park in the bicycle racks instead of on the stairwells and the light poles and in front of your buildings. So it's trying to clean up the campus a little bit. We pick up approximately 300 bicycles a year, which is shocking. It's a couple hundred man hours to actually pick all these up. But anyway, so this policy addresses that. If you have a bicycle that is parked in an egress of your building, the fire marshal's office would like to know. If it's in the stairwell, if it's on the ramp coming into your buildings, it'll be removed quickly. So they do not want any egresses of buildings blocked in case of a problem. So the policy does state that you have to have a bicycle parked in a bicycle rack. We've actually started taking some off the light poles. We're trying to get this out a little more before we just go blanket wide on the campus, but the goal is to get them off the light poles, off the park benches, off the handrails, off the... they're not allowed in the buildings either. We don't want bikes in the buildings. Besides making especially on rainy days, you got a muddy trail of bicycle wheel that comes to wherever they're going. So that's also addressed in the policy. We have about 5 bicycle repair stations on campus now. They have tools, they have air. They're in the, Bayou Oaks, Calhoun Lofts, Moody Towers, CV1, and Cougar Place. Several of them are open to anybody. A couple of them are locked up behind chain link fences, but several of them are open to anybody who wants to use them. No, it's a self-service unit. It has a bicycle pump for both types of valve stems, as well as it has 8 or 10 different tools that are attached to a cable. So you could change a flat tire, you could adjust, it's got screws and you can adjust like brakes, the tension on them, and it's got like 10 different tools. Hmm? Yes. Yes. I don't know where it is. You know where it is? You know where it is?
We can send that out.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll send it out.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. Yes, we are currently working on that. We are basically have a map with bicycle racks on it. We're confirming how many bikes can park on there, and there will be a map. You're right, there are some isolated places around the campus that doesn't have any, and then you have some places that has too many. So we're going to number all the racks, and we're going to find out where bicycle rack parking is deficient. Yeah. 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 In what building? Okay. Yes. Sure. It has been looked into. We are not going to do it because we are picking up private property and then we're giving it away or selling it to somebody. So because it's not U of H property, UHPD is selling them or donating them. So I know there's a beautiful bike right here, and yes, I can fix it up, but I can't give it to you. So it's already gone through legal, and that's not going to happen. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do work for U of H, and we have some interesting rules here. But yes, sir. It's a MAP policy, so it's under where all the MAP policies are. Yes. It's called Bicycles on Campus is the name of it. Okay. Okay. Well, we're starting here. I've also talking to the Student Government Association, student housing comes up in their meetings as well. Notification of abandoned pickup is, yes. So once we tag a bicycle to pick it up, then a notice goes out in the Cougar News, and then we come by and pick them up. Occasionally, you'd be shocked, out of 300 bikes a year, we get one phone call, maybe two. But so no one's claiming it. Yes. Well, because they want to tag it. They want to confirm. Yes. 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 Separately from this, there is it's called B-Cycle program. It's the red bikes that the city of Houston uses that you can rent. We're getting 6 locations on campus. You may or may not have noticed, but there's some locations that have already started. They're going to be in front of ERP, the football stadium by the train station, Moody Towers by the train station, the library, CV1, and Fine Arts. So they're already in progress of being installed. But it's unrelated, but it is, the goal is to try to get more people using these bikes because these bikes are maintained and the student doesn't have to do any repairs on it. They just rent it. So, any other? No. The problem is that you're renting it. If you if you don't put it back in its parking spot, they're still charging you. So you're encouraged to park it in a rack because that's when your charges stop. So let's say you drive from ERP over to the library, you know, that's a 10-minute ride. You get charged for 10 minutes. So, but yes, we're trying to clean up the campus with all these bikes and all over the place. Anything else? Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. This is where the bikes go. I want you to pick them up. This is the police impound lot. Once we pick them up and put them in this room, this space, they belong to the police department. The police department is generally, they've auctioned them. They've given them away to charitable organizations, but it's up to them to decide where they go. You can request. It's the records department of the police that has control of the bikes. Once we put them in this space, there is it belongs to them. Is it an organized charity? Did you have a charitable license? I don't. Okay. Okay. Well, if they don't, then I wouldn't even bother calling because it's not going to get through. Yes. The bikes will sit there for a maximum or a minimum of 60 to 90, depending on if it's registered or not. It is a shocking ordeal what it takes to get rid of to pick up a bicycle. Here's a locks we cut off. So now we recycle the locks in the metal recycling, but yes, these locks range from $2 to $50. But by the way, if you have a bicycle, don't buy the $2 lock. I can tell you from personal experience, you can break those things in seconds. The nice U-shaped kryptonite type locks take a minute to 5 minutes to cut it. So if you want to protect a bike, put a decent lock on it. Yeah. Yes. A fine, no, but they're going to want some kind of proof, like description of the bike, where was it? But they have to call the UH Police Department. Sorry, UH Police Department. I used to work for UT. Sorry. Yeah, call the UT Police Department. But in reality, we get very few calls, where's my bike? We even get a call last year, we got a call, where's my lock? They didn't want the bike, they wanted the lock. So the lock's been cut, sorry. But I would just love to get rid of this program, but there's just too many bikes that are just left abandoned. So definition of abandoned is it rideable? Is it rideable? You know, does it have a wheel missing? Does it have seats missing? Is a chain missing? It's not difficult. I mean, if it's even questionable, we just leave it and pick it up next year. Yeah. Yes? Yes. Yes. Or it's the sustainability department. I know. But yes, it is the time to organize this is a lot. I think that's it. Any other questions? See, you guys didn't even think this would be exciting. Okay, thank you.
One thing I was going to add to what Craig said is we've seen photos that he's taken because lots of times what's left chained to something is really just the I guess the spine of the bike. The wheels will be gone. Anything that's transportable, they'll. And then, of course, when they are placed in places where people can trip over them or, fall or what have you. And I want to give props to Chris McDonald in the fire marshal's office over here because he's the one that you can contact to get it out of a bad place. But I just want to say, Chris is sort of a silent partner with us in our building coordinator program and outages. There's not an outage that doesn't get communicated, that has not gone to the building coordinators. And it always goes to Chris, and he very cheerfully says, yes, this is fine, no, this isn't, and he watches them very closely. And there have been times where he said, there was one just recently about some egress signage that he approved the outage, but one of the caveats was some egress signage had to be placed by the project manager. He's also done it sometimes where cranes pull in, and he's like, that's fine if you're going to do that, but you got to have 24 feet or something, so that a fire truck can make it through there just in case. So I just wanted to tell him thanks because he does that whenever we have fume hood issues. Jennifer and I get those and we forward them to him so that he can let people know that if there's any, I guess, noxious fumes or something. But he does it with a smile just like he does it now. And so I just want to say thank you for all that you do to help this building coordinator program, Chris. Thank you so much. We have a lot of great partners, but he really does. He just is always so great about it. So Jennifer is going to come up and talk to you about the building coordinator role.
Okay, I don't want to go into a long thing, so I'm going to try to make this really short. I apologize in advance if I get too enthusiastic because I've been doing Vacation Bible School this week every night. So if I start dancing, that's why. Oh. But we're very appreciative of all of our building coordinators, and we know that not all of you, this is your primary role. So first we want to say thank you and that we appreciate it, and we know you have tons of other things and other priorities that you are handling on a day-to-day basis. So we know it is difficult when we are asking you to do more and more, and we know that over these last 5 years, the role has increased tremendously. Originally, I know it was just asking to help with a few things, and now we have added on so much more. Now we have the campus carry signs that we are asking you to check every month to make sure that everything looks good. We also have the outage notifications that we are asking for you to review and check in with your buildings. And that's one piece that I wanted to make sure that you know everyone in your building is being communicated with. We've had a couple of issues over the last year to where we've had people come back and said they got the one that I sent to the whole listserv, but they did not know in advance that their individual building was being impacted. So what we want to do is, and we've talked about this before, we specifically talk about it at the training that we have annually, is if you want a floor plan, and I've talked to some people about this, of your building to make sure you have a contact within every area of your building, please let us know. We have the floor plans. I've taken them to meetings with me when I've talked to or we had a new building coordinator come on board and say, please look at your floor plan and make sure. My specific building, I'm the building coordinator for the general services building, which is very ironic knowing that I have no technical information in this head. So for me to know what it is talking about when they tell me what the outage is going to do, no idea. Just tell me what the impact is and I will communicate it. Because I am trying to tell them what's happening. And the same thing, which we, general services, just like the library, I'm pointing at them, we have a load shed program that we're on. So I have to make sure we get a 30-minute notice for that outage, 30 minutes. So we have to make sure that we know exactly who we're supposed to be contacting with because they have to turn off all their equipment when our electricity goes on emergency power. So it's one of those things to where please make sure you have a floor plan, you know exactly. We actually have 3 groups in our building. It is not just facilities. So our secondary building coordinator is Kat Smith in printing and postal. Finally, the two of us got to eat lunch last week because I was like, it's ridiculous that she and I have never have made contact directly. We talk on the phone, we email all the time, but it was really nice to get to know the other building coordinator who is also in the building with me, who is in charge of that area and communicating with them. I happen to know she was on vacation this week because she told me last week when I had lunch with her. The load shed happened this week. So that meant I knew she was on. I literally ran over to the other side of the building to make sure that she got everything because I knew she was on vacation. Thankfully, we had already determined who needed to be on the listserv to know that printing and postal needed to know. Printing has equipment that has to go down. So those are the pieces that I want to make sure you know everything in your building as far as who needs to know. I'm not saying you have to know every piece of equipment. I have no idea what printing has in there. But I do know it has to be turned off and that they're going to be messed up if they don't get it turned off. The other piece of sometimes you may want to send an all clear. I know sometimes we do that to where we're like, okay, I know what's going on with the outage. I know it's already happened. You may want to communicate to your buildings and say, this one happened, everything is good. If you need more information about an all clear, please feel free to email me or Jackie or facilities communication email, and we will go and contact the technicians that were in charge of that notification and let you know if you did not get the right information you needed. I know there's tons of other things I'll do. And I know there's a lot of emails that come through, and a lot of times you just delete them. If you see that your building is not on there, it's fine if you want to delete it. But if it says multiple buildings, please make sure you review it. Please make sure you look through it to make sure. We also know how there's so many buildings that are multiple departments. You might have your one office that is in that building, and you need to make sure to communicate it to your department, even though it's not in your building. That's as long as I'm going to talk, unless y'all have any more specifics. Y'all know that I'm always here to help you. If you have a work request that has not happened the way that you wanted it to, please feel free to contact us so that we can try to see what's going on and happening in that area. Do y'all have anything else? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. While she gets, we actually have 2 more door prizes, and so in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and do some announcements. We just want to say thank you for when y'all let us know so quickly that there's a new building coordinator. If you know that's really important for us, so that we make sure we roll that building coordinator, the new one, into our communication process. Please also share when there is a new building coordinator. We always like to try to get their cell phone number. Because as many of you know, Jennifer, I will use that cell phone number to text you. Yes. I mean, we do use them, and that's one of the first things she and I do sometimes is like, we need, you go do that, I'll send an email. So if you change a cell phone, people don't do that too often, but if you do, just always think in terms of like letting Jackie and Jennifer know. But we do appreciate when you let us know of any changes. Needed the cell phone. And then I just wanted to give one thing too. So y'all are very used to seeing our outage notification. There are times, such as in the last couple of days, I did one just before I came here this morning. Sometimes the emergency situation, there's no time to fill out an outage notification and send it through the whole process of signatures. It's important for us to let you know. So last night there was a situation, actually the last couple nights there have been situations that all I have time to do is to shoot off a quick email to y'all, and generally it'll say in the subject line, emergency something or other in your building. Please watch for those. We do that because just in the interest of time, but they are just as important as getting that outage notification, the actual form itself. So just always be watching for those emails. And the last thing I wanted to say so we were talking about bikes. One of the things, because you mentioned the word registered, Jennifer's been working with our students, our communication students, and the police department to develop a weather-resistant, weatherproof sticker that is going to go on, I guess, the variety of bike racks that we have around campus. And it's just advertising the fact that, register your bike. Because if it's registered, then I assume then they at least have some way to track back and see, like, do you realize you left your bike? It's taken a while. We're getting making sure the sticker is going to work. We have a lot of different bike racks on campus. And Carrie, since you mentioned that you needed one, or I think you can put in a work request to have a bike rack installed, correct, Craig? I mean, yeah. But I mean, I just, go ahead. Yeah. Well, so you might want to wait. And you have at least made it known that that's an area that we need one. Yeah, yeah. So, and I want to put in a plug for Cougar First Impressions. I have no vested interest. I am on staff council, but if you weren't planning to volunteer, I'm sure they can still use some more volunteers. It's the first 2 days of classes, and we have tents all over campus where we give out water and just kind of help answer questions. So you may see some of us at some of those. And so we have 2 door prizes. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they wanted to ask before we close? We'll close on an upbeat note, the door prize giveaway. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I think Kelly mentioned that they were going to send a notification through us, the form to fill out. So we'll be getting that out to you. But if nobody has any other questions or comments, I bid you a fond adieu, but let me give these 2 things away. Have a great Friday afternoon, a great weekend, and school's starting soon. Thank you all so much for coming. Okay. Okay, who are our lucky winners? 032-204, 204, and 213. Grab some food if you're hungry. Take a cup of coffee or something with you. Thanks again, and we'll see you in October.